Good morning. Happy Wednesday. My name is Bethany, and I am the creator of the Home Care Agency Academy and also this group here on Facebook. So, welcome to you, whether you are a home care owner or you're just kind of learning and getting started. Happy to have you here. Today, I just want to answer a question that I get asked quite frequently, and that is, do I have to have a license for my home care agency? And the short answer is probably yes, right? So we have states that are regulated and non-regulated. So it definitely will, some of those licensing rules are going to depend on where you live. But in a nutshell, if you right now are operating independently and caring for another person, or maybe even 2 people, 3 people, then that is totally fine. You are allowed to do that as one person caring for 1, 2, 3, 4 people, as many as you can or desire to. I would still recommend that you have paperwork that protects you in those cases. I still would recommend that you fill out, even though you're not going to need to do all the state requirements, I would still suggest that you have some sort of plan of care that's written out, emergency contacts, doctor's appointments for that client, especially if you're there with them one-on-one, contingency plans, things of that nature. I would also recommend that you carry some sort of insurance, and perhaps if you're acting as a sole proprietor, maybe you want to do some sort of insurance, or if you're acting, if this is your business and it's just you as an entity, I think you could just get away with doing a sole proprietorship, getting some insurance, just to protect you if something happens in the client's home, if something happens to the client on your watch, right? It's always a good idea. Otherwise, if you don't want to go the insurance route, definitely seek legal advice on this. But I do know that some people, they have a lawyer write up a waiver and have the client sign that, and you sign that, the family signs it, the POA, whoever's in charge, signs that, okay? So now where we run into trouble with this, where this can get troublesome, is, let's say you're taking care of Mrs. Jones and you're taking care of her Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and you're very busy with her, and then you have your own life, right, outside of that. So let's say that Mrs. Jones tells you, hey, I have a friend across town, Mrs. Carlson, and she also is needing care. Can you provide her any care? And you say, well, I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, I really can't because I'm with you full time, right? And you leave it at that. But when you say, well, there's a couple options there. You can just leave it alone and say, I'm sorry, Mrs. Carlson, I cannot help you. You can say, I can't help you, but my friend is just getting into this, or it has availability. She can help Mrs. Carlson, and you just leave it as a referral. You're still safe. You don't need a license still. When you, though, decide to refer your friend to work there, and you set it up, and Mrs. Carlson is paying you and you're paying your friend, then you get into an area, that's when you've breached the area where you need a license, okay? That is the differentiator. So if you are just working by yourself and taking care of one private pay client by yourself, then you don't need a license. And that's the key there too. When you do this without a license, you're not going to be able to contract with long-term care companies, and you're not going to be able to contract with Medicaid. So if a client comes to you and says, well, I have Medicaid, or I'm a veteran, you're not going to be able to contract with any of those entities because you don't have a license. or a registration. You're not recognized by your state to operate, right? You're operating independently, which is totally fine. And I do suggest that some people who need to get started, right, and want to get started in this field, get some experience, that they do it this way. They do start with just that private client themselves working and receiving income, having that cash flow come in for daily living needs, right? And then as they start to build a reputation, they start to get experience, you could be working in the background on getting your license. So when those referrals come to you, you can be all set and ready to go. So that's another way to utilize this kind of model of getting started now before your license. And I recognize that's not for everybody. Not everybody is able to go into the field and do these things. You also maybe also have a job currently and you need to honor those commitments. But just so that you know, yes, you can operate without a license if it's just you, yourself, and that's it. If you start referring your friends to take care of other people and you start coordinating that care and being compensated for that coordination, that's where you run into you're gonna need a license. So hopefully this was helpful and clarified any questions around licensing for you. Have an awesome day.